Namaste and welcome to Detours with me, Anuradha Goyal, where I talk to some very interesting personalities about journeys of all kinds. Namaste and welcome to Detours. Today I have my friend Shubharasta with us. She's an author. She's a very popular media personality. We often see her on television debates. But today we are going to talk to her because I think she's one of the very eminent, prominent, enterprising Biharis, young Biharis. And she's also somebody who not just talks about Bihar, but also practices its traditions. So I've seen her in practice observing the Chhath Vrat, and that's when we got into a conversation and said, let's talk about Chhath and talk, let's get to know the festival. So Shubharasta, welcome to Detours and tell us about Chhath. What is Chhath?
Thank you, Anuradha ji. It's always a wonderful experience to speak with you, and to speak on a topic which is so close to my heart early in the morning. I think it's a great start to the day. Chhath is a festival primarily celebrated in Bihar and eastern parts of Uttar Pradesh, but I'm sure migrants from Bihar have carried it forward to different states, and I think every state their own version of Chhath Puja. And a lot of political happenings also hover around this festival. The reason, my interpretation is that the reason is because this festival perhaps is one of the very few festivals in India that traces its root to the Vedic tradition. Also, because it's a living practice, it's not something which is codified in a book. I don't think you would find mention of Chhath in any Chhath as a festival. Sun worship, you would definitely find mention in various scriptures, but Chhath as a festival finds very little mention in our scriptures. So it is a very lived way of life. It's a very lived tradition. And therefore, it is not only popular among people, popular since a long time, but also has innocence to it. It has been untainted by time, untainted by modernity. I'm not a purist, so I wouldn't say a lot of impurities have crept in, but a lot of alternate versions in the festival have started creeping in. But all in all, it's a very old festival and is still celebrated and performed in a very old traditional way in which our ancestors practice.
You said it's celebrated in eastern part of UP and more or less in Bihar. So
yeah.
When is it celebrated? The time?
There are two types of Chhath worship. One happens during the Chaitra Mas and the other happens during the Kartik Mas. So in colloquial terms, it's called Chaiti Chhath, and the other one is just called Chhath. So शरद ऋतु में चूंकि होता है तो कुछ शारदीय छठ भी कह देते हैं इसको. Now, the idea of Chhath actually it marks the change in season. So when it is celebrated in Chaith, so summers haven't yet come and winters has already receded in the background. So that's the time when you celebrate Chhath in Chaith. And with respect to the Shardiya Chhath, this is at the onset of winters, or winters has crept in a way that early in the morning or late at night you feel the chill, but otherwise it's a pretty comfortable day. So these two fests both are popular, and it's not we hear more of the Shardiya Chhath because Shardiya Chhath is slightly easier to practice and follow, because you don't, for 3 you don't eat or drink anything. And even if you do eat, it's just a one-time meal. So then it's very difficult to keep yourself hydrated and all. So people generally prefer doing the Shardiya Chhath. Chaiti is a little more intense. Now, Chaiti Chhath is also, in colloquial terms, it's called between Shardiya Chhath and Chaiti Chhath, people say that there's a relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Okay. So mother-in-laws are supposed to be intense. So therefore, not many try to broach. Mother-in-laws are supposed to be a little strict and intense, So not many people attempt to keep Chaiti Chhath. It's
Okay.
generally the Shardiya version, which is more popular. However, rituals remain the same, practices remain the same. Chhath is primarily a 4-day affair. So it begins on the 4th day after Deepavali. So Deepavali happens on Amavasya. So you leave the parivar, you leave Dooj, where you celebrate Bhai Dooj. Tritiya is where you take slight bit of a break. You arrange all whatever you're supposed to do for Chhath, and on the 4th day the festival begins. Now on the day, so is the onset of the festival. 5th day is called Kharna or Lohanda, depending on which region you are from. And the 6th day is the actual Chhath Puja, and the 7th day is the final day where you perform one puja in the morning, and then the festival ends. It's a very as I said, it happens at the change of seasons. So every small ingredients which is used in the Chhath Puja is all locally sourced, is all organic. It's supposed to be as pure as possible. By pure, I think it in my version as a modern Indian woman, I think it is about maintaining the organicity of the entire harvest, produce, and everything, and nothing fancy is used in Chhath. So, for example, I'll just trace all these days to you. So, the first day, which is called Nahai Khai, which is the 4th day after Deepavali. So, on that particular day, the vratis are supposed to have one meal in the morning. And generally, it happens that because the preparation is such that you end up having the meal only in the afternoon. So, the whole morning you keep preparing for it. You're supposed to make food on the earthen, chulha, with mango, wood, etc. Yeah. You're not supposed to use polluted forms of cooking fuel, etc. So generally people still today avoid LPG gas, or they would try to avoid electricity, though if you have to do it in places like Delhi or Bombay or Maharashtra, I'm sure it's not very convenient, it's not always. So people have created their own versions, but as far as possible, people stick to the ancient ancestral script, and they try and cook things on earthenware, on earthen chulhas and
Fire.
earthen, yes, fire, earthenware, or bronze and kasa, pital, kasa, tamba, all these utensils are used. Now on Nahai Khai, you basically have gourd, which is ghiya, lauki, bottle gourd, chane ki dal, which is the gram, black gram, but split black gram, the dal form of it, and rice, which is the fresh produce of rice. That's what we have for these are the only 3 main ingredients that comprises of the Nahai Khai day. Now, the idea of Nahai Khai is that you do not have anything which is heavy on the tummy, because you have to prepare your body for the arduous fast which will begin the next day. So you only have this. Lot of people today have started adding chutneys and fried pakoras and stuff, but generally one avoids it, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because the next 3 days are going to be really, really taxing on the body. So the more stuff you have, the more thirsty or hungry you would feel, and it's very difficult to manage your senses then. I think Chhath is most importantly about keeping control of your emotions, of your senses, of your body, and of your mind. My takeaway from the festival is essentially, so you prepare all of this on an earthenware. You only use ghee and jeera, which is cumin seeds, and clarified butter. That's the only, and a little pinch of turmeric, and of course sendha namak, which is rock salt. These are the basic 4-5 things which are used to prepare this meal, this sattvic food. You prepare it, and then the vrati has the food, and after the vrati has had the food, other members in the family are supposed to have it. Now, it is very interesting that from here on, the vrati herself or himself, the festival is celebrated, can be observed by both men and women. The vrati herself and himself becomes an incarnation of the sun god.
Oh, wow.
So it is also very important that the Vrati has at least one Sahayak or Sahayika or a helper with them, because the journey is going to be very arduous and they would need support system around. So the Vrati from here on becomes Pujya, becomes very, very, so, there are I have my memories of, my grandmother observing Chhat. And as kids, we used to have this competition of who would wash her clothes first. Because then you're supposed to, it's basically very divine and godly.
It's
So
like the seva of the deity.
it's like the seva of the deity, because and you can see the deity. It's not just about Rati. You can see sun god. So
Right.
you know that the person who is observing the festival slowly imbibes the characteristic of the deity being worshipped.
Right.
So yes, so Nahai Khai ends like that. It's you can have food multiple times during this day. You can drink water as and when you want. The next day
Why
is
is
called
it Nahai Khai? What is Nahai in?
You're supposed to take bath, clean the house, and then have food. You're not supposed to have anything before that. So perhaps, just to
So it's like initiating the fast. It's like the
it's
beginning of the
initiating.
journey of Chhath.
Yes. So that small, since you would want to know small rituals. So for example, when you sit near the chulha, the Vrati, when she sits near the chulha, you take a sankalp that for the next 3 days I'm going to observe this fast, and I would pray that you really bless me with vigor, vitality, and most importantly strength, so that I'm able to carry forward the uh, entire celebration or observance, so as to say. So this day ends with this sattvic meal, and you're not supposed to have anything else than this bottle gourd and gram, chana dal and chawal. Beyond these three, you can't have anything else. Now the next day is called Kharna. So from this day on, you begin your Nirjala Vrat. You're not supposed to have even a drop of water during the whole day. But during today, the Vrati will have food, but only in the evening after one puja is performed. And the preparation of this puja it basically takes the whole day. And it's a very simple, again in chula, and there's kheer, which is called rasyav in Bihar, and puri, which is not really puri, but it is roti made in a certain way. The ingredients used are good, jaggery, rice for kheer, water which is drawn either from the well, or people, if you have hand pumps. But again, as I said, in cities it's not really possible to fetch water from there. Some people use water from the Ganges as well. People do use water from the Ganges if they are if
have access.
they live, yes, if they have access to it. So this is used to prepare rasyav or that kheer, and of course milk is added to it later on. The reason why it is not prepared only in milk is because again it would become heavy for the stomach. So you prepare it with very little milk, or of some people avoid milk altogether, but this is how it is done. And puri, which is really roti, it's roti which should not have any brown spots in it. If you've made rotis, Anuradha ji, you would know that it's very easy to burn roti. It's very easy to burn it. Or even if you don't burn it, there are red patches that we like to have. But the idea there is not to overcook anything, not to overcook roti. So when you cook roti, you have to be really, so you use your heavy earthenware for this. That is ideal of this. Now I have tried to figure out why there are such strict restrictions on how this roti is supposed to be made. I haven't got a satisfactory answer, so I just stick to the script and try to make these rotis as white as possible, and perhaps that is why they are called puris and not really rotis. So that's the prasad that is made on the second day, which is called Kharna or Lohanda. And by the time you prepare the entire thing, it is almost evening. So you worship the sun god with this prasad, and you can have this prasad once, and after that you have your water till you can see the moon in the sky. And once that happens, you are supposed to go completely nirjala, which is no water, and of course, no food for the rest of the, I think, 36 hours. This day ends the second day, the third day, which is the actual day of the festival. The vratis get up in the morning and start preparing for the evening's puja. Now, this evening puja is a salutation to the setting sun god. So prior to the sun sets, everything has to be ready. So all the prasad has to be made, and your the things in which you would offer the bamboo soup or bamboo dalla. I don't know how to really
soup is
translate.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you really need
to, an open basket.
It's an open basket, right? So all these things have to be, the prasad has to be made, prasad has to be arranged in that in particular order, and for for the evening puja to happen. And this again happens on earthen cookware. The only ingredients used today are basically wheat flour and jaggery and ghee, and of course water. These are the only 4 or 5 ingredients which are used. Some people can, and some people do add dry fruits to it, or cardamom, etc. to it, but it's not mandatory. It is Thekwa, yes. Today is the day when you make Thekwa, the world famous Thekwa. So whoever comes from Bihar during Chhath, Thekwa is in huge demand. So this is the day where you prepare Thekwa. Now, to an audience who is listening to this, one might wonder why it is such a big deal that these very simple things are being prepared and the whole day goes in the preparation. The reason is because the vrati has to prepare all this not just for herself but for the entire family and the entire kutum. So whosoever would demand prasad from the vrati, not demand really, but whosoever wants expects prasad, she has to make it. Again, it's not always practical because today the concept of family has grown beyond blood and kinship to a larger this thing. So I'm sure everybody in the house has 2 rasois now. One is limited to the vrati and immediate family, and the rest of the family prepares it for friends and other members. So again, essentially this is what happens. You prepare thekwa, and there is also kasar, which is ladua or ladu. I don't know how.
Which is like it's the powdered form of a laddu, if I understand it.
Yes, it is powdered form of a laddu, and this is basically rice flour. Rice is basically washed. New rice is washed. It's dried in the sun and then made a paste of. Good is added to it. Good with water is added to it, and it's made in the form of laddus. And this is what these are. The thekwa and kasar are the only 2 specific grain based prasad which is to. There are no bout is used. There's nothing to do with doodh and mawa and khoya and all of that. Some people do add it there to soup, but it is not mandatory. It is not even advisable, because again, the idea is to source locally grown grains and offer it to the sun god. Now, the preparation of this dalla and soup is again very interesting, because as I said, no synthetic stuff is to be used. There are 5 kinds of root vegetables that you are supposed to put in your dalla. So apart from thekwa and kasar, you would have, like, when I do my soup preparation, it's basically raw turmeric, raw adrak.
Ginger.
What is adrak? Ginger, raw adrak. And winter is the season when you get radish. So I put in radishes. What else?
Carrots?
No, not really carrot. Shakar kandi,
sweet potato.
Kandi and mishri kandi. These are 5 ingredients that I use. And I'll tell you why.
They have to be root vegetables.
5 root vegetables.
Okay.
And then you need to put in 5 seasonal fruits.
Okay.
Or 5 fruits. So generally you have mangoes, but mangoes is not in season that time. So bananas are a songs also with bananas as mentioned. Then there is that big lemon pomela. Yes. So these kind of fruits, bananas and all other local fruits, apples and etc. etc. You just put it on your dalla. 5 fruits, 5 root vegetables, and kasar and hekwa. This is how you prepare your soup. And then, of course, the vrati offers it to the sun god. Then the whole night you are supposed to wake up. Generally, people sleep. Even I sleep. I cannot wake up the whole night because your body is tired, your mind is tired. But it is advised that you do not sleep through the night, but keep praying to the God and keep yourself awake the whole night. And early in the morning, the next day, prior to sunrise, you are supposed to begin your preparation for sun worship. And this day, which is on the 7th day of Kartik Mas Shukla Paksh, you are supposed to worship the rising sun, and you open your fast only after you perform that worship. So the idea in places like in Bihar is to stand either in a pond or in a river while you are offering puja to the sun god.
Both in the evening and morning.
Both in the evening and the morning. So, and the idea of, I think, waking up at night also arose from that, because if you were in a on a river bank preparing for the festival, or waking up or preparing to pray to the sun god early in the morning, it was not really possible for the entire family to sleep on the banks just like that. So was to keep awake the whole night, have conversations, sing songs, etc., etc. So that is how Chhath is basically celebrated. And there are so many perhaps philosophical or deeper hidden meanings to this festival. There are so many, I'm sure there are so many sociological import of the festival as well. So I would be happy to answer any more questions. Anuradhaji, the point is, I myself, I observe this festival.
Right.
So you can understand that I might not have a logical answer to every question that you might have, because it's more to do with my faith than anything else.
Yes. So, a couple of basic questions. So I also read somewhere that the vrati also wears fresh, unstitched clothes.
Yes.
So is it still observed? I mean, I know that in Sanatana Dharma, any festival, any festival, any ritual. So, for example, for our weddings also, we are supposed to wear that's why sari. Why do we wear sari? Because it's a piece of unstitched cloth. And that is very important. And I was very fascinated to see that it is still observed during Chhath. So tell me, is it still observed, and how do you manage that single piece of cloth which is unstitched?
It is observed to a great extent even today. But see, the idea earlier on, Chhath was not celebrated by women like me. There were old women who used to celebrate Chhath Puja.
Okay.
They used to fast. Only elder women in the family used to fast, because what I have not been able to stress perhaps is the importance of Sahayika in this festival. Also, it's a very family and it's a living tradition, as I said. So it's a very, very family oriented thing. So in fact, one generation of woman passes on to the other generation. So it's only possible if the elderly is observing it. And till the time the elderly woman could observe this fast, all the other members in the family used to act as her sahayika.
Right.
So the reason why it was very easy for them to manage a single piece of unstitched cloth was because their bodies have gone through a lot.
Right.
Also, they don't have the kind of shame or embarrassment associated with the body as a young woman would have. So I think it was practical to do it at that point in time. I am sure many women of my age also practice this puja with unstitched piece of cloth. Personally, I have not been able to do it till now. My plan is to try and incorporate it this year. I'm not really sure if I can, but yeah, the idea was that. And as I said, when I was growing up, I never saw many young women observing Chhath Puja. In fact, it was looked down upon. कि वो अरे उसके घर में तो उसकी mother-in-law है, फिर भी वो छठ कर रही है. So it was the mother-in-law used to pass it on to the daughter-in-law. Then the daughter-in-law would wait for somebody else in the family to come so that she could pass it on to her. So that's how the festival has.
Typically, one person in the family would do it on behalf of the family, and the rest of the family would help her or him do it.
Yeah, or the couple would do, or the couple would do.
Okay.
Or if you have had certain if you had certain manokamna, then
Right.
of course you asked to the sun god, you picked up this festival, and then you you would have continued. But शौक से सिर्फ घर की बुजुर्गें ही ये छठ पर्व उठाती थी.
Right. So, and they would not even pick up, they would inherit it and then pass
Inherit
it on.
it, right,
And then
right.
pass it on. Right. So, I've seen mostly women do it, mostly. But you're saying anybody can do it. Men
Yes.
also observe it.
A lot of men do it, but because our social structures are such, it's not very quote unquote practical for men to sit for 3 days fast and prepare food on their own and all of that. So you are right, not many men are seen observing this festival. But in Bihar, for example, I've always seen that if people had leprosy, it is believed that if pray to the sun god, leprosy is cured. And there is a Puranic, there are a lot of Puranic stories to it also. The Sun Temple in Orissa, the Sun Temple in Gujarat, all of them talk about this king
Sam
of
story.
Sam. Yes.
There's a Sam Puran which talks about this.
Exactly. So you prayed to the sun god to cure leprosy. So I have seen many erstwhile leprosy patients observe Chhath Puja. So I've seen many men do that as well.
Okay. Yeah, so there are a few diseases which they say can be directly cured by sun. Leprosy and jaundice is one of them.
Yes.
So, so I assume that. So, it's become kind of a signature festival of Bihar now. Wherever you see on the Chhath day, everywhere, wherever I have traveled in the world on that day, I've seen, you can see Bihari standing in the water and doing that, and typically wearing a yellow and red sari and doing that. So, how do you see Chhath as the carrier of, Bihar culture across the world?
Because it's a living tradition, I don't know since when. I think it's the only living memory. If you were to if I were to trace back my journey, I think it's my only living memory of what Sanatan Parampara is. Because every other festival has something or the other added to it, and things have changed geographically, things change, but I think this is one festival where nothing really has changed. So whether you observe Chhath Puja in Canada, or you observe it in Coimbatore, or you observe it in Calcutta, you will have the same, you will have Thekua as prasad. So you may add cardamom to it, you may add dry fruits to it, but everyone will prepare the same prasad. So I think the sense of unity, the sense of egalitarianism also to a great extent. Also, there are no pandits in this festival. There are no priests in this festival. There are no mantras of this festival. It's all a very lived community affair. So I think Bihari community all over the world, Bihari diaspora, Bihari migrants in and around India. I don't want to talk politics today, Anuradha ji, but I think it's also important. It's also important to note that perhaps this is one untainted aspect of Bihar that still that is very close to every Bihari. This is something which is untouched by time.
I also feel that it helps Biharis outside of Bihar stay connected to each other.
Yes.
And also, and to me, as somebody who studies India's traditions and festivals and pilgrimage and all that, to me, this is one of the few longest living traditions of sun worship. Sun worship was observed around the world in all ancient societies, not just India. In India, of course, we have these temples, we have a lot of Puranic stories, and we say sun is the only Pratyaksh Devata. Every other Devata you have to imagine in some form and shape. Sun is the only Pratyaksh Devata whom you can see every day.
And Agni also. But
Agni also, in a way, relates to sun only. Sun is also Agni.
Yes.
Okay. So, Agni, and it has a lot of, there's a lot of study. I have a full book on sun, which talks about its healing, its impact on every part of every dimension of our life. So many sun temples. Unfortunately, none of our sun temples are worshipping. All our primary big sun temples. The biggest was in Multan, which we've lost it, which is completely gone. The rest of the three in three directions are defunct. Uh, there are chotu motu small temples here and there where the sun worship happens, but not really. Delhi, where you live, used to be a big sun worship center. Used to be a big sun worship center. I recently saw in Greater Noida an ancient sun murti. So this is to me the only living tradition which we must carry forward and which we must keep it. In fact, all festivals were like this. Navratri was exactly this, transition time, fasting, cleaning your system, preparing for the next cycle of season. Exactly the same rationale. Now the times may change. Chaitra remains the same for Navratri as well. We observe Navratri in Ashwin, and this is in Kartik, but that may be related more to the geography. So, where the
Yes.
seasonal changes happen around that time. So, and unfortunately, most of our festivals, we've converted them from a fasting festivals to feasting festivals. So today Navratri, you have Navratri meals, you have this meal, that meal, while it is supposed to be a simple fasting festival. So great. Any Puranic stories that I was also reading that it is associated also with Chhati Maiya. So do you have any insights on that?
Yes, so Chhathi Maiya is the sister of sun. So a lot of songs that you sing during Chhath invoke Chhathi Maiya for that. The other interpretation of Chhathi Maiya is the Shashtham Katyayani teacher. The
Right.
Katyayani Devi is may also be called Chhathi Maiya. That is my interpretation of things, because you were very right about Navratra and Chhath sort of being very close to each other. So Bihar is also a land of Shakt worshippers, and when you have Shakt worship, you do have non-vegetarian offerings to the Devi.
Not always.
Not always, but in eastern part of I mean Bengal.
No,
Some
I'm
parts
not
of
saying
Bihar,
not all
especially
parts,
Mithila.
not all Devis. There are certain
Not
Devis.
all Devis. Right. But Mithila and Bengal especially. I come from Nalanda. So Nalanda, because of perhaps Buddhist influence, we don't have onion, garlic, etc. during Navratri. But Mithilanchal, people do have fish and mutton during Navratra. I think the cleanse part for us happens during Chhath, because that is the time when you are completely away from any kind of tamasic food. So
So
your question was about Chhathi Maiya.
And how do you how is that part of Chhath festival? Because Shashti for me is there's a Devi called Shashti Devi, which is the one when children are born on the 6th day, you have Shashti Devi or Chhati. There's a Chhati ka small ritual that every community in India has, and I've seen Shashti Devi temples around India. Which is essentially the protector of kids. So that's why she's the one who's worshipped on the 6th day. Rituals differ from community to community, region to region. And it was interesting to see the same Chhati Devi or Shashti Devi a part of Chhath festival. And it's actually called Chhath. It's a 4-day festival, but it's known by the 6th day. And the 6th day is also the day of Sashta or the Kartik.
Yes.
Mothers are matrikas.
Yes.
So what my question to you is, how is Chhati Maiya a part of the celebration, if she is?
She definitely is. And all the references that you made are references that I would have brought in at different points in time during this conversation. All of them are true. And the reason why that has happened is because primarily, as you said, it's the women who carry forward this festival. So, of course, we pray to the masculine sun god during this festival, but please also remember that it's a 4-day fast. And none of this almost penance-like fast can happen without the nurture and care of a feminine maternal figure.
Right.
So I think which is why, especially the women Vratis started invoking the mother goddess to
Mhm.
help the Vrati tide through this entire thing. And now that you mention it, and while I'm remembering some of the songs, most of the time Chhathi Maiya is invoked during the festival when you have to talk about domestic affairs. So there's a problem happening between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, and
Mhm.
daughter-in-law is observing the Chhath festival. So she would pour her heart out to Chhathi Maiya. It's generally, she doesn't pour her heart out to the Surya Devta.
Surya.
She would ask Surya Devta, you give me children, you give me wealth. But when she'll have to pour out her pain, it's generally the invocation of Chhathi Maiya. Also, the whole idea of Chhathi as a ritual after childbirth. Chhathi Maiya is mostly invoked by I don't like that word, but there's a lot of reference to Banj and Banjin in the song that you have during Chhat, and she almost acts like an emotional consort of the Vrati till the Vrati has attained motherhood.
Mm.
So and there's Ganga, as I said, you draw water from the Ganges, you pray in the Ganges. So Ganga and Chhathi Maiya, both of them act as maternal forces for the woman observing the fast, especially if you're observing a Chhat Vrat to beget children. So that is my interpretation of it. I might be wrong, and perhaps nobody can be right or wrong in interpretation of these rituals. It's been there for a long time, and no, there I don't. There are no, as I said, there are no priests. There is no idol worship. There is no. You don't even make parthivs to worship Chhathi Maiya, whatever. She's there. She's there as a presence, as a divine presence, across various small rituals that you do, across
Give me
small
an
small
example of a ritual where she's invoked.
yeah, for example, the Vrati is, for example, really tired.
Mm.
She's preparing prasad and she's tired. Now, out of uh, I wouldn't even use the word frustration, but out of
Exhaustion.
that sense of devotion, but you are in a state of absolute exhaustion and intoxication with bhakti, you would invoke her to say कि किसी तरीके से पार लगवा दीजिए, हे माँ, हे छठी मैया, किसी तरीके से इसको पार लगवा दीजिए.
But there is no ritual worship like you offer to the sun.
Yes.
And you take all the offerings and to the sun and offer it. There is no offering that is made to Chatti Maiya.
So what you're offering to the sun is essential, is the offering to Chhathi Maiya also. So Chhathi Maiya and sun god are exist simultaneously.
Okay, okay.
So
Another,
see,
yeah,
Anuradha ji, we say that when we worship the setting sun, we worship the rising sun. That's when you hold soup and you're putting it out there, but you're basically putting it out to the universe. So
right.
when you are putting it out to the universe, every small ingredient, for example, that you use in the festival is a representation of the maternal and the feminine. So when you take the root vegetable, for example, you take the root vegetable and you take thekwa. So root vegetable for me would symbolize um,
But
yeah, the feminine fecundity and the fertility aspect of nature, and the parishkrit form of it, the prasad form of it, the man-made form of it would signify masculine labor that has gone into it to produce something which is more beautiful, which is more refined. So it would be wrong on my part to interpret this festival according to scriptures or Purans alone. It's a very living reality.
right.
And there are a lot of these songs that I keep stressing on songs, because songs are the mantras of this festival. They are the maha mantra of this festival.
Tell me a song, I mean, one or two songs which you think define this festival.
So there is one song which will talk about various ingredients which are used in the festival. So for example, it would say also, Anuradha ji, we are not supposed to sing Chhat songs just like that.
Oh, okay. Forget it then.
No. That's fine. I mean, I'm just telling you. You may edit this out during this thing, but you're not supposed to sing chat songs just like that, and which
No,
is why perhaps not. It's sometimes you don't even
no,
remember them.
that's okay. If
Just
you're
like that.
blanking out, that's a sign. That's okay. But you can just say the lyrics. You know what?
Yeah. So it says that I got sone ka katora,
Hmm.
and I got doodh, and I got pan ka patta, and I got phoolon ki mala. And
Hmm.
then there are different communities which are invoked. That I got Sone ka katora from Sunar. I got doodh from the Gwala.
हाँ.
Yes, I got Pan from Panwadi. I got Phoolon ki Mala from Malin. And then the Sone ka katora broke. The milk spill. The Phoolon ki Mala,
Oh.
yeah, it got wasted. And the Pan also got wasted. So now how do I worship you? And then there's a invocation to Chhathi Maiya and Sanwar. Don't get angry. And then it says that they all got, both of them have gotten angry that all of these material for worship has gone bad. Then Chhathi Maiya comes and says, don't worry, we will get a fresh Sone ka katora, fresh all of that. Now it's a very simple song, but the way it is sung and the way all these different communities are invoked,
No,
it seems the entire society, samaj, community comes together to sort of celebrate this festival.
Shubharasta, when you were saying this, it reminded me of so many songs, and it's a common template which
Yes.
includes everybody, but at the same time says that they are there, they serve their purpose, but even if they are not there, there is a bigger power who will take care of us.
Yes.
It's a template, and I have seen it in so many songs across festivals, across rituals, and which involves all the communities.
Another song which I've gotten reminded of, perhaps I'll be able to sing it without me forgetting it. कहा माँ के धन माँ तू रड़वा, कह माँ उठारल पान, किनका कोखी जनमल सूरज देवा, कैलन दुनिया इंजो, गढ़ही के धन मातुरड़वा, पनिरिया घरवा पान, सविता कोखी जनमल सूरज देवा, कैलन दुनिया उजार. Basically says धान कहाँ से आया, पान का पत्ता कहाँ से आया, और किनकी कोख से सूर्य देवता ने जन्म लिया और दुनिया में उजाला फैलाया. And then there is an answer कि गढ़ी के यहाँ से धान आया, the invocation of the गढ़ी community. पनवाड़ी के यहाँ से पान आया, पनवाड़ी community got pan. From the womb of Savita was born sun god, and he only lights up the world. Again, very simple lyrics of the song, extremely and Chhath songs have a specific rhythm and a specific tune. You will not find these songs replicated. Say, for example, in other rituals like marriages or for marriages, you can have songs of different meters and different rhythm and different lyric. But Chhath songs ka ek do tune hi hai jo,
Because it has to take you
constant.
to a certain frequency.
It has to take you to a certain frequency, and if it were not simple and complicated, then the tradition would not have been unbroken.
Right. But that credit, I would give it to the people who never let it break.
Absolutely.
There were ample occasions when they could have said, let it go. But the credit must go to people who, I'm sure, who would have taken a lot of pains to keep it alive.
Especially women.
So
and
culture is carried by women, Shubharasta. If you really look at it, each and every festival, if women were not carrying the culture, the part which was not being carried by women has completely been lost.
Totally.
The parts which have been carried on by women are sustained in some form. Right. So like you said, if you are living in a big city, if you're living outside India, you would adapt, but you'll still carry on to the extent possible. So that's the cultural DNA that we have inherited. We try to
Right.
carry forward as much as possible. Great. I also read that there are references of this in both Ramayana and Mahabharata, and some traditions also link it to Karna because he was a Surya Putra.
It's said that Karan was today's Bhagalpur is what Andhra Pradesh comprised of, and since Karan used to live there, he used to worship sun god. It's also said that after Sita was banished from Ayodhya, after their return, she worshipped the sun god, and she used to observe Chhath Puja. It's also said that Kunti and Draupadi, both of them were sun worshippers as well. So my point is that even if the references were not made in our scriptures, the very fact that today lakhs and crores, in fact, of Biharis, and of course, Eastern Uttar Pradesh, people from Eastern Uttar Pradesh have celebrated this festival in exactly the same manner with minor geographical variation here and there, is testimony to the fact that this is a living example of a tradition that has been unsullied through time. There is a sense of impermanence, eternity, and timelessness to this observance.
For me, see, honestly, if you read Ramayana and Mahabharata, you don't directly find references to it. You may find reference to, like you said, sun worship. But for me, these folk references to the epics kind of makes it easy for the next generation to observe. These are milestone points in history where you say, if they did it, let me also do it. So
oh my God, while I'm speaking with you, I can remember so many songs, but without, the exact lyrics. You are very right. It's not only Ram and Sita. There's an invocation of Mahadev and Parvati observing Chhath festival. So the imagery which is built in the song is this: that it's raining cats and dogs, and then there is Mahadev and Parvati. Parvati has observed Chhath festival. Mahadev asks her not to because it's difficult, and then Parvati chides Mahadev also, and rain god also, and says that please let my sindoor remain unwashed, and let Mahadev remain in dry clothes. uh, do not wet us completely, because I have two small kids who are sitting in my lap. And then this is replicated across Ram and Sita, when Sita would talk about love and Kush, and chide in the same template will chide Ram and the rain god, etc. So many, and you're very right. I think the whole idea of bringing Puranic references in folk is to invoke a sense of believability, so that those who do not have faith in it somehow associate it with a larger cosmos and larger tradition and larger faith system, to be able to carry this forward.
Also, somewhere we all trace our ancestry to Suryavansh or Chandravansh, then. And if you bring those two in, then you are essentially saying this is your inheritance. So you are basically linking it to that. Today, in last 100 years or maybe 50 years, we've kind of stopped believing that we are descendants of Sri Ram or we are descendants of Krishna.
Yes.
While till about 100 years back, we definitely believed that, and that was almost like talking about an ancestor more than talking about a god.
Yeah.
So those are great. Anything else that you think we need to know about Chhath, or anything that you want to tell the larger world that please do this or please don't do this?
I would really urge anybody who is watching this, and if they're interested in knowing more about Chhath, to be with a family that observes this festival. Because no amount of conversation, no amount of explanation or reading up or listening to songs is going to expose you to the actual culture and tradition that this festival is all about. Since this festival is all about the small, the mundane, the absolutely basic. So it's only when you immerse yourself in that whole experience that you'll be able to get make, I wouldn't say make sense, but feel it here.
You feel it, yeah. You see it firsthand. There is no alternative to firsthand experience. There's
Like today,
absolutely.
while I'm speaking with you, I'm feeling so illiterate. The reason being, I'm not, though I practice this, I'm not able to find the right words to explain my feelings. And it is primarily because it's a festival of faith more than any. I began by talking about philosophical and sociological import, etc., etc., but I think all of that gets washed away. It's as if the egalitarian nature of the festival
Mhm.
gives your intellect also a certain egalitarian and equanimous poise. You don't want to sully it with lot of intellectual thought process and lot of intellectual input.
In fact, some of these festivals tell you exactly to shut your intellect and let it relax and soak in the faith and soak in what is far larger than what you can think of, far bigger than what you can ever imagine.
Right.
So great, Shubharasta. Thank you for taking us through the fast, through each and every day, and through the whatever history we know about it. I also think there is a Vedic reference also somewhere of this festival, right? But again, like it go back to Surya worship, right?
Yes, I'm sure there is, and I'm also during the mantras dedicated to Surya Devta in the Vedas also. I'm not sure if Chhath is directly mentioned, but the mantras and the richas in the Vedas do refer to a larger meaning, a larger philosophical enterprise as to why sun worship is important. I think more than Chhath, the idea of worshipping the sun is a living god, if at all we believe in the idea of divinity and god, or whatever. um, and we are living creatures, so I think that the interaction of two living beings who can see each other cannot happen through artifice. It has to happen through uh, what's there all around, in the most organic, in the most pure form. So I think for me the takeaway for Chhath is that.
Great. Thank you so much, Shubharasta, and we'll look forward to having you again on another topic. But thank you so much for taking us through the chat.
Thank you. I hope I did justice to your conversation, Anuradha ji, because you have really spent a lot of time on ground reading, researching, coding, and putting it out to the world. I hope that this was a contribution that enriches your
It definitely
portfolio.
does, Shubhrasta. It definitely does. And, for me, it's important to talk to people who are practicing it. I don't want to talk to academicians who merely know it through scholarly work. Because then it's somebody else's. When you speak, it is my tradition. I observe it. Then you get the element of both faith as well as theory. So for me, it was important to. I'm not a practicing Chhatvrati. So you are somebody. So I wanted to hear a practicing person's views on it. The scholarly works are, of course, available. So thank you so much for giving, and more than that, thank you so much for observing and inspiring lot of people in your generation to take it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Detours. You can also join us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our handle is IndiTales, IndiTales. See you soon.